Hey brewers, it's Paul here, and today we're looking at the DIY Cooper's beer making kit. These are an awesome starter kit if you're new to the hobby because it includes everything. Your first beer kit, the fermenter, the bottles, your mixing spoon, bottle filler. Like basically you take this home, you open up the box, and all you need is some clean water to get brewing. So let's go ahead and open this guy up and see what it comes with. Alrighty. So in this box we have the spigot for the fermenter. This is what you're going to use to fill your bottles. A Cooper's lager beer kit. Some bottle caps. A strip thermometer. We're going to put this on the fermenter so that we can monitor the temperature while the beer is fermenting. A brew enhancer. So this is going to go in with the lager kit. Just a pamphlet that shows you what comes in here. Beer bottles, there should be 30. These are 740 milliliter bottles, so that's enough to bottle an entire batch. There's a lot of bottles, so bear with me.
I'd like to visit our homebrew, see how it's going, have a little chat. You know, how are you? How's your father? How are your millions upon billions of dead relatives at the bottom?
And there is a pack of Cooper's carbonation drops. So these are basically like sugar pills that you're gonna put in the bottle when your beer is ready to be bottled, obviously. And this is what's gonna carbonate the beer. So you don't have to worry about adding priming sugar or transferring to a bottling bucket. These go into the bottles, beer goes in the bottles, you cap it, and this will carbonate it. Give you a mixing spoon, and then a hydrometer and a test jar. So with this, once we make the beer and we're ready to pitch the yeast, right before that, we're gonna take a sample. This is gonna tell us what the gravity of the beer is. So we're gonna write that down, and then on bottling day, we're gonna take another sample. It's gonna be different value, and that will let us know how much alcohol is in our beer. So it's nice that they throw that in. A bottle filler. So this is going to attach to the spigot, and that's what we use to fill our bottles. There's a little tongue here, so when it's pushed in, it lets the beer into the bottle. And when you take it out, it's gonna stop the flow, so you can go from one bottle to the other without making a mess. And then the fermenter itself. This is a Krausen collar. So basically, when the beer is fermenting, there's gonna be a whole bunch of foam up here. And then when it's done fermenting, that foam is gonna go down. And it's gonna leave, you know, all crust and crud on the sides. So you can just take this off, pop it in your dishwasher, clean it, whatever, and put it away for your next brew. And that's pretty much it. So there's not much to assemble here. We'll just attach the spigot. We're ready to brew. One thing I will mention is that after your first brew, you're gonna need some cleaner and sanitizer to clean your fermenter and your bottles. This is super important. I like using Diversol, or as some people call it, the pink powder, for cleaning the bottles and the fermenter, and then a no-rinse sanitizer like Star San. You'll let it soak with some Diversol in hot water for, let's say, an hour or two. Rinse it out really well. You want to rinse this stuff really well, and then you'd use this no-rinse sanitizer, and you would not rinse it. Just wanted to make sure we covered that. It's very important. To get started, I'm gonna heat up 4 liters, give or take, of water to a boil, and then I'm gonna turn it off and let it cool a little bit. We're gonna add that to the fermenter, and then we're gonna add in the brew enhancer and the Cooper's Brew Can. One quick tip I have for you is this is like maple syrup. It's very thick. So what I like to do is just fill this kitchen sink with some hot tap water and let that sit there for about 30 minutes before we're gonna use it. So I'm gonna go get the water ready, and then we'll be right back. All right, so I've went ahead and added 5 liters of hot water to the fermenter. This is clean water with no chlorine. That's important. We're gonna stir in the brew enhancer. This is basically a mix of dextrose, dry malt extract, and I believe maltodextrin. If we just brewed with the can and without this, we'd only get like a 2 or 3% beer. Stir that in. Of course, make sure the spoon has been cleaned and sanitized. All right, that looks good. We'll stir in the brew can. So we have our brew can that was soaking in hot water. You can open it up. And then same thing, we're just gonna stir it in. Now, it's not necessary to get every last drop out of this can, but there's a couple things you can do. One is use some more hot water to kind of rinse this out, or what I'm gonna do is just take a clean and sanitized spatula and just scrape the insides. All right, so we got like 98% of that stuff out of there. Give it another stir. One thing I forgot to mention is the stick-on thermometer. We're gonna go ahead and put that on now, because when we add some more water to top it up to 23 liters, we wanna have it somewhere around 20 Celsius. So don't put it at the top. You want it near the bottom here. There we go. And I'm just gonna go grab a jug of water and I'll be right back. When I'm brewing beer and wine kits like this, I like to use store-bought RO water. Just that way I know it's clean. You can use your tap water. I would recommend either filtering it or adding something like a Camden tablet to get the chlorine out. So just go ahead and top this up to 23 liters. This beer should come out at about 4%. If you wanted to make it a bit stronger, there's two things you can do. One would be to just add less water, let's say 19 or 20 liters. The other thing is you could add more dextrose or dry malt extract in with the brew enhancer and the beer can as well. Alrighty. I'm gonna give this another really good stir. All right, that looks good. I'm happy with that. Put on the lid and we'll take our hydrometer reading. I believe this should come out around 1.040 on the hydrometer. Okay, so it's a little bit hard to see because of all the bubbles there, but it's right at the 1.040, maybe 1.042. So what you'd want to do is write that down somewhere. Because that way when you go to bottle, we take another reading, it would probably be around 1.01 or 1.008, and then you can calculate how much alcohol is in your beer. We're gonna check our temperature here. We want to be like 22, 20, somewhere around there. I don't like fermenting this too hot, so yeah, it looks like we're right around the 20 to 22 mark. I'm gonna grab our yeast pack. The Cooper's cans will come with a pack of yeast, some generic Cooper's ale yeast. It's fine, this will make beer, it'll be good. One way to make a Cooper's kit better without spending too much money is by getting a little bit better yeast. So I like Saf Ale US-05. This is good for pretty much any beer, whether it's like a blonde ale or a pale ale or something like that. SO4, I like if I'm doing a darker beer, like let's say a stout, an ESB, something like that. And then a good all-rounder is just Nottingham. This is good for pretty much anything, to be honest. So it's nice to experiment, try these out, see if you like them. For this beer, I'm gonna go with the, actually I'll do the Nottingham on here. You just wanna sprinkle this evenly all over the top. Don't stir it in, just get it evenly over here. And even though this is a lager brew kit, we are not lagering this beer. Cooper's knows that its customers probably, for the most part, don't have like a fridge with a temperature controller for people to ferment in. Yeah, this is probably not a lager yeast. That's pretty much it. So you're gonna wanna let this sit and ferment for about 2 weeks, somewhere out of direct sunlight. You want this to be fermenting, 18 to 22 Celsius. I find if you go hotter than that, you can get some weird off flavors. Let it sit for 2 weeks. At that point, you can take a gravity reading just to double check, but you'll be ready to bottle. That's it, that's all there is to it. It's really that easy. A key thing is just to keeping your equipment, your bottles, your fermenter, that sort of thing, clean and sanitized, because if you don't, that's how bacteria will get in and ruin your beer. The Cooper's kits are super easy to make, super cost effective. I mean, to make a batch, you're looking at maybe 30 to 35 bucks, and you're gonna get 23 liters of beer. They have lots of different varieties. It ships with light lager, but they have IPAs, stouts, ESBs, porters, amber ales. The other thing I'll mention is, even though this is Cooper's brand, you can brew other kits. For instance, like a Mangrove Jack's, or perhaps a Brew Canada, or anything like this you can use this equipment with. So it's very versatile. And I'll just do a quick demonstration on how to bottle. Obviously, this is not ready to bottle. We have to let it sit for 2 weeks, but just so that this is like an overview of the entire process, we're gonna go ahead and do that. For the Cooper's bottles, you're gonna wanna use 2 of these carb drops. Again, when you're putting them in, make sure your hands are clean. If you were using a smaller bottle, let's say a 355 ml or even a 500 ml, you would use less. So I would personally put 1 in a 355 and 1.5 in, let's say, a 500 ml. They're pretty easy to break in half. If you just take like a butter knife and press on the middle, it'll separate. So obviously you'd want to make sure this is clean and sanitized as well. That just goes right into there. I don't have one handy, but if you're at home, I would put a towel down as well. But the process is pretty simple. Open that up, push the tongue up on here to let the beer flow into the bottle. Then fill it right up to the top, and you're ready to move on to your next bottle. Again, this beer has not fermented. Usually we would not be bottling right now. I just want to make sure that's really clear. This is just for demonstration. And then you'd put on your cap really tight, okay? If it's not on tight, when the beer is trying to carbonate with the CO2 that's being made inside the bottle, it'll just escape and you'll have flat beer. You'll want to let these sit for about 2 weeks. Make sure you put them somewhere warm, at least 18 Celsius. But you know, wherever is warm in your house will be fine. It'll take a little bit less time. And that's pretty much it. Once it's been bottled and it's sit for 2 weeks, it should be ready to go and you can enjoy delicious beer that you made yourself at home. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to see more content like this. Cheers.